It's hard to imagine that on this corner street here in the very heart of London, a stone's throw from Marble Arch, literally the musical landscape changed, not just for this artist or indeed the composer-producer, but, well, the sound of the world. This was, of course, the early 1960s. The Beatles were about to take over America. They'd already conquered here in the United Kingdom, and the sound of the Mersey beat was everything that people wanted. Singers, which were great, you know, the likes of Sandy Shaw, were really set to emerge a little bit later on. Cilla Black had started, and of course we had this wonderful lady, Petula Clark, who'd already enjoyed a film career, chart success, television series, and many women before her. Let's not forget the likes of, indeed, Lita Rosa, and more importantly, of course, the wonderful Yana. But this lady, Petula Clark, literally on the corner here, in this street in London, made it all the way to the United States of America, appearing on the wonderful Ed Sullivan Show with this track, which I'm about to reveal now. Lovely to see you today. Thank you so much as ever for joining me. Nice to have your company in the very heart of London. Music can change the way we feel, can't it, you know? I've been very lucky enough to work, sing, perform and record certain songs from international producers around the world, and it's quite frightening, you know, when you step into the recording studio, because particularly if it's an original song, you want to do it justice, but you're not quite sure because you've never really heard it before. Do you know if it's a hit or not? Never really sure. That all is down to one thing, that's you and I, the general public. We decide if we like the song or not. We decided we would like this song very much so way back in 1964, because it was here at Great Cumberland Place, just off Marble Arch, which was the home of Pye Studios. Now that might not mean too much to you, but it does, simply because this song, Downtown, recorded by the brilliant Petula Clark, was recorded here. Now, the originator of the song was none other than the masterful composer, the award-winning Tony Hatch. Now, I got to know Tony really well, and still to this day we converse. He's a lovely, lovely man. But many people of a certain generation will know Tony as simply being the bad guy, literally, of New Faces. Long before Simon Cowell and the rest of them, Tony did it better. But he spoke from great experience. He'd literally done so many records, produced, written, arranged, everything for so many artists. But this one was about to change their world. Downtown, you see, Tony had played a little bit of a refrain at the very final outcome to Petula and said, well, I've got this, what do you think? And according to her and to him, she said, look, if you can put some lyrics to that, I think we could be on to something. Boy, were they right. And then very quickly, Downtown became recorded here at Pye Studios. But Pye Studios actually has a big variety connection. That's because Louis Benjamin, the man behind the Royal Variety Performance, was also a major shareholder. This man, Lou Grade, also was part of the ATV network. So there were big people behind that brand. But so many famous people came through the Pye Studios doors, like the Searchers. Yes, remember that? Needles and Pins, all of that. Just great stuff, isn't it? They never go out of fashion, a good song. Now, according to Petula, when they recorded the song, they still weren't sure, you know. People thought, yeah, it's a great tune, but would it fit into the pop landscape that is the 1960s? As I say, the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, it was all boy groups, bad boys, good-looking boys, all of that sort of stuff. That's what people were lapping up. But Tony Hatch knows how to write a brilliant song. And this was the start of a string of brilliant songs for Petula Clark, putting her up there with all the girls of the 1960s, the swinging 60s. Don't Sleep on the Subway, Darling, I Know a Place. You know, there were just so many great songs, as we all now remember. But quite frankly, it was just here that started it all. And as Petula said, on the day that they went in to literally record the song, Tony hadn't actually finished it. So he kept popping off to the gentleman's room and creating, shall we say, the final lyrics that we know today. It's fascinating to think, isn't it, that, you know, wherever you turn, there's some kind of musical heritage. And none so more than when you think about this song. It's still played today, and literally has broken records as being one of the most played records on radio around the world. Now tell me, chums, every time you hear the intro, just the piano intro, you know straight away. And everybody will probably know where they were the very first time they heard this wonderful song, written and produced by Tony Hatch, but more importantly sung brilliantly by one of my favourite all-time singers, Petula Clark. The only thing I would ask is, why is she not a dame yet? Now it's going to be stuck in your head all day, isn't it? Neil Sean in the very heart of London.